Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on John's Firearms 705. Before we get started today, I just want to give a quick shout out to our fearless leader up here in Canada, Justine, and his fearless rivals and friends, Billy, I think he's 21, and a few of the other ones. Because of them, I decided to wear this shirt today because I am a legal, law-abiding firearms owner in Canada, and some things that have been happening in the news lately are doing nothing other than to the law-abiding gun owner in Canada. Anyway, that being said, my little rant, let's get on with today's video. What we have today is a Savage 64, chambered in 22 LR. Before we get started, we're going to check safe it. Underneath here you have a little tab, just pull that, magazine will drop out. And on your charging handle here, you can pull it back and indent it, lock it open, check it, rack it a few times. Firearm is on safe. This firearm is clear and ready to work on. So yeah, being said, it's a polymer stock, pretty decent, pretty simple action, pretty decent little barrel. I've had this thing for several years now, and it's really one of my most accurate 22s, even over the Ruger 1022. It was a pretty cheap firearm when I purchased it. It was just a little over $200 back then. Came with one 10-round mag. I obviously bought a second one and taped it together. Bought two more and taped those together. Incidentally, Savage now makes an aftermarket magazine that holds 20 rounds. I think it's about $59 up here around where I live. So anyway, that being said, it's a super accurate gun. I really love the action on it. It's nice and smooth. The only complaint I have is the receiver is made out of a super thin, punky metal. And when we get into it, I'll show you what happened to me and hopefully prevent it from happening to you. So for disassembly, we're just going to need a couple of Allen keys and a Phillips screwdriver and a slot screwdriver. So on the bottom here, you got these two takedown screws. Mine, I only need to take off the front. It's the only one that secures the actions to my stock, and I'll show you why in a moment. See, normally you have to take off both of these, but in my case, just the one, and the stock removes. We'll just set that aside. Take a look inside here. You see that one screw goes into this post, and that's what holds the stock down. And where this little flat screw is, there used to be another one, but what happened was the bottom stripped out into the receiver, so I couldn't use it anymore, so I just had to put an oversized screw in there. And then inside the stock, I don't know if you can see it, in there I just put a screw on top of that bolt to hold it in. Now, interestingly enough, these are kind of modeled after the old Cooey 64. Now, this is all Canadian manufacturer out in Lakefield, Ontario. And the Cooey 64s, they only had two studs down in here anyway. They never had the two that you bolt into. So, I mean, it's still safe, it still works, but when you put these screws in here, these little guys right in here, do not over tighten them, because you stand a really good chance of stripping out your receiver, and well, you know, if you can't put your actions together, your firearm ain't gonna work too good. So anyway, that being said, it's pretty straightforward to take this down. You got this stud here. I'm just gonna take that off with our Allen wrench. And what this is, it's a little C-clip here. It actually, way. It's a little C-clip, and if you notice, the one side's longer than the other. That's a side that goes into the little groove here. And what that does, you can pull the barrel out now. See, it screws in like that. When you pull your barrel out, of course, you have your ejector. It just sets in this little slot here. If it comes out, no big deal. You can just pop it back in, just keeping in mind that this has a little cut and it sets on there and in. Pretty straightforward. Now we got the rest of our receiver with our trigger group and our magazine well. Get these off. I'm just going to use a Phillips screwdriver. It's a pretty short little screw. Okay, and the one beside it, because I had to MacGyver mine up, it's just a flat screw. Okay, so got both of those off. Pull out our magazine well. Then we got another Allen wrench stud at the back here. That out. Yeah, might help if you release your bolt before you undo that. So anyway, that's your trigger group. It's pretty simple, not much to it. Keeping in mind that rear stud you took off does have a little crushing lock washer. Keep that together. And at this point, you can just pull off your charging handle. It comes out. Slide out your bolt. On top of it there is your firing pin. Now mine's pretty oily right now because I had it all cleaned up and oiled up and put away. It's winter time up here in Canada. So yeah, let's take a look at this receiver. It's pretty punky. There's the two little screw holes. I don't know how much you can see them really. But that back one stripped out on me, so yeah, I just use an oversized little screw in there and takes care of the job. Okay, so that's pretty much it on the Savage 64. I mean, it's a Canadian-made rifle, 22 LR. You know, it shoots true, it shoots good. It was a really inexpensive firearm. I'm glad I picked it up. It hasn't let me down. I think I've put about 2,000 rounds through it since I've owned it. It'll basically shoot anything except for the CCI standard velocity. It's not a big fan of that with the blowback system. It's got a pretty heavy duty spring in there, so the standard velocity has a bit of cycling issues. But I usually run you know, that bulk ammunition that comes in a barrel or a bucket. I usually run that through it and it works just fine. Okay, so there we go. Once we get our trigger group lightly fingered tight in there, take our bolt, grab our firing pin, put it in. To the receiver, grab our charging handle, pop it into the hole. Now at this point, I like to bring it back and just lock it in place there. Just get it out of the way. That way when we bring in the barrel, the ejector won't be in our way, and you can actually see it. I don't know if you can see it there when you put it in. You can actually see the ejector go into the receiving slot on the bolt for it. So now you just push this in all the way until the groove in the barrel lines up with that groove. Take our little thing with the longer part towards the barrel into that groove, holds it in place. Grab our bolt that holds it on. I'd have to kind of finagle this around a little bit, get that into the, there we go. Just move your barrel around until it snaps in. Get that post started. Okay, now we just need to attach our mag well. You got this little lip. It's gonna go under. We'll first put the back tab in here. Drop your front end under, just slide it forward. And put in your two screws. And again, I cannot emphasize enough, do not over tighten those things. It just leads to a whole world of headache, and leading to that, my only complaint with this firearm, that punky metal they used in the receiver. It's a shame. And I tried to source another receiver, but I have not had any luck. Okay, so there we go. Like I said, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It's back together. We'll just tighten up our 2 posts and reattach our stock. Good there. Good there. Those guys are tight. Okay, stick her upside down. Grab our stock. Now this has got to be one of the simplest firearms to take apart. It's pretty simple. I mean, I do like the Ruger 1022, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be able to take the bolt down a little bit farther. The bolt on this is pressed in, so you can't really take the back end apart. But that's okay, I haven't had a need to. It's been running pretty good. Okay, there we go. Quick little function test. Safety. Yep. Yep, we're good. So there you go. Savage 64, 22 LR, made in Lakefield, Ontario. Yeah, apparently this one though was imported by Savage Arms in the States and then made its way back to Canada before I bought it. Okay, there we are. Remember now, story of firearms in a safe and law-abiding manner. Be safe, have fun, see you at the range.